Welcome to another episode of Mexican in the Kitchen. This time I have a recipe I saw online. I've seen it became a trend, a lot of people are trying it, and I just had to try it myself. I'm going to start with 50 grams of chicharron. I know in Spain, for example, they call it torresnos. It has different names on different places, but it's basically pork skin that has been deep fried and it becomes crunchy, so it's a really nice snack. Here in Finland, they're not super common. I get them from an Asian store. They're Danish, and apparently they're very popular there as well. For this recipe, I'm going to use my food processor just because it's very quick and easy. If you don't have a food processor, don't worry about it. You can use a mortar, for example, or even just throw them in a Ziploc bag and just crush them. What we want to do is to turn this chicharron into powder. That way we can substitute our flour. This process was quite simple, but I did have some residue at the bottom that just didn't want to completely get turned into powder. This process was very simple, but I did have to mix things a bit at some point because there was some sediment that was just not turning into powder. As long as you make sure that the texture is even, then you'll be fine. If you have eaten chicharron before, you might know that it's quite airy. When they deep fry it, it becomes quite puffy. That's why a full food processor turns out to be just a bit amount of flour or chicharron powder. This is my end result, and it might look a bit chunky, but this is enough for this recipe. For this recipe, I am using cream cheese. I am taking as much as I can with a teaspoon and adding that amount. I have also seen some people use creme fraiche or sour cream in this recipe instead of the cream cheese, and looking back, I think next time I try this, I might actually use that instead. I am also adding 1 egg, and after that I can start mixing everything together. Usually at this point we would season our mix, but considering chicharron is quite salty, we are not going to add any salt this time. Once we have mixed all the ingredients together, we are getting this kind of dough. We will handle this as we handle the dough or masa we usually use for tortillas. We will take a small piece of it and then we'll roll it, trying to make a sphere. The texture for this dough is not quite the same as the one for tortillas, but it's quite similar and it can be easily handled. The size of these spheres is completely up to you. It depends on how large you want the tortillas to be. Here I have my tortilla press. If you don't have one of these, you can also use maybe a chopping board against the counter. This press just makes the tortilla making easier. What I will do is add some plastic just so it's easier to handle the tortilla after and you can take it easily out of the press. I've seen some people use kitchen plastic, wax paper, but personally I just cut up a Ziploc bag and use it here. I think that's the easiest thing to use. We place our dough in between the plastic. We can press it a bit just to make the press go down easier. And then we just press a bit. How much to press takes a bit of practice. The first time you make this, you might end up with this situation where you pressed a bit too hard and then it just gets completely stuck because it became so thin. How much to press is depending on the texture of the dough. As you can see in this one, this is not as thin and this will be very easy to take out of the plastic. How you will usually do it is remove the top layer, then put your hand against it, and then just easily lay it there, remove the plastic. If you got the texture right, then this will be super easy. Now that we have the tortilla in our hand, we can move to our skillet. I have this one preheated, it's on a 7 out of 9, so medium-high fire. What we want to do is to gently lay the tortilla on the skillet. It might be tempting to just slap it on the skillet, but it might become a problem because it might fold while you drop it. And then at that point it's very hard to unfold it or unstick it. Usually with corn tortillas, you want to cook your tortilla for maybe 10 seconds, flip it, cook it for 1 or 2 minutes, and then flip it again. In this case, I'm not sure if that's how you should do it, but I'm trying to stick to how you would usually do a tortilla. One thing you can do before the last flip is adding a bit of cheese. In this case, any cheese will do. Add something that will melt nicely. If you are doing multiple tortillas at the same time, you can always fill the tortilla with cheese and then add a second one on top. Just look how beautiful this quesadilla looks. This is how I make these quesadillas, and I made the tortillas as well. I don't know if you can tell, but these tortillas are quite nice. I have an older video in my channel where I was making some tortillas with linseed, and those were not the best. They were not very flexible. They were not very tasty either. I think this is the best experiment I've done so far. These are really nice. They're very flexible. You can make tacos out of it. You can make the quesadillas as I showed you. These quesadillas are quite tasty, honestly. Like they have the very strong pork skin flavor. If you like that flavor, these are gonna be your new favorite for sure. I don't think they're very calorie friendly. They're good if you're making some keto diet, for example, and you're craving some tortillas, some tacos. They're a really nice option. Maybe not for the everyday, but definitely as a snack. This is something different I have never seen before, and I had to try it when I saw the videos online. And this is definitely one of those that is a nice trick to do. It's a nice way of maybe adding some more flavor to your usual tortillas. You can make your normal tacos, add a bit of flavor with these. You don't really need much. With these quesadillas, I would maybe have some nice hot sauce on top of it, but you don't really need anything else because the flavor is quite strong. I hope you liked the video. Press like, subscribe, activate the bell, all those kind of things, and see you in the next one.